You're listening to The Social Workers on WCDB Albany.
And welcome back to The Social Workers here on WCDB Albany. My name is Eric Hardiman, and I am your regular co-host here with my co-host, Alyssa Lotmore. Welcome back, Alyssa.
Hey, Eric.
This is our second interview of the day, and we're excited to have with us another guest live in the studio. We have with us today Jonathan Richardson. Jonathan is the Communications and Special Projects Officer and works on communications, impact reporting, and special initiatives. He has over 8 years of communications and development experience. He's the current president of the Association of Fundraising Professionals, the Hudson Mohawk Chapter, and he was recently awarded AFP Global's 2019 Outstanding Young Professional Fundraiser. He's active in his community and passionate about professional development, community change, and social justice. One of his most notable achievements is the creation of the emerging nonprofit Leadership Accelerator program, which works to attract rising leaders working at New York Capital Region nonprofits and provide them with resources, support, and networks to succeed and stay in the sector. Richardson also serves on the board of Mission Accomplished Transition Services and the Capital District chapter of the New Leaders Council. He earned his Master's of Social Work and Master's of Public Administration degrees at the University at Albany SUNY, an alum, focusing on nonprofit management and social welfare policy. He has also completed research projects on the effectiveness of a nonprofit's board of directors, marketing for human service agencies, and collaborations between local governments and nonprofit organizations. Finally, Jonathan received his bachelor's degree in religion, linguistics, and gender studies from the University of Rochester. Welcome to our show, Jonathan.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It's great to have alumni in the studio.
Yes.
You know, you are a recognized alumni of the School of Social Welfare, and so it's always good to have our own alumni back.
It's always great to be back and relive that little nostalgia of
Exactly.
being on campus.
Exactly.
Well, it's also great because you're going to be talking about a macro level topic, which we don't always talk about fundraising and social work, but it's a pretty important component as a lot of our social workers work at nonprofits and agencies that do need to fundraise in order to provide the services that they need. So let's start off by what do you do in your current role? Employment, volunteer, what are some of the things that you're working on?
Yeah, so two things I focus on. So full-time, I work for the Community Foundation. We are the grain philanthropic hub for the Capital Region. So we work with a lot of individuals and families who want to make the community a better place and work with them to distribute out funds to nonprofits throughout the greater Capital Region, ranging in a bunch of different type of issues and support. So, and in addition, we do a lot of community initiatives that I work on as well, including coalition building, training, and other type of support that we want to focus on community level change. In addition, I'm the president of the Association of Fundraising Professionals locally, so we do a lot of professional development training for fundraisers throughout the region that include workshops, networking, webinars, just any type of connections to help fundraisers, survive and thrive in the sector, because it's not easy to go out there and raise money for support, and we want to just focus on how we can build up the sector and community.
Sure. So that's a lot. You're doing a lot of work. How do you keep all these everything afloat?
That's a good question. I'll let you know when I figured that out. But a lot of great time management, a lot of flexibility. I mean, and it goes to show a lot of great supportive network that you have. Like my employer, the Community Foundation is a great place to work. They're really supportive of me, and we want to be out in the community, engaging with our community, because the better we know our community, the better we can help solve and connect to donors who really want to make a difference. So they're really supportive. I have great supportive boards too, great supportive partner, and 3 pets who help calm me down at the end of the day. So a great team behind me to kind of help with that.
So tell us a little bit, tell listeners, our listeners tend to range from folks all over the community, sometimes social workers, sometimes students and alum, but also just folks in the Capital Region. What is the nonprofit sector like in the Capital Region for someone who's not terribly familiar with the nonprofit world here in the Capital Region? Is it a strong region for nonprofits?
Yeah, it's actually, the nonprofit sector is technically our largest sector. It beats out state government and private sector as well. So if you include a lot of the hospitals and education institutions, which are all nonprofits, we're the largest sector. So we provide the most job opportunities. We're the third for economic growth, and we're a big engine change driver for the region. So, and we have many organizations around the region doing a lot of great work, ranging from historic preservation to economic development to human services and healthcare. And there are a lot of people, and that range from the small volunteer boards to multi-million-dollar organizations. So they're out there and doing a lot of great work, kind of solving a lot of community issues and building up our region, and and I would definitely say they're not just a side thought about the region. They're really a main economic driver for the Capital Region.
So why is fundraising so important for social workers?
Yeah, so as we know, nothing can get done if you don't have support or resources behind it too, and that especially works for a lot of community issues. So we need the funds to raise the resources out there too as well, and especially fundraising in particular kind of helps because a lot of government funding continues to decrease. There is changing instability in a lot of administrative and government capacity. So, and there's a changing role of what people expect. So, in order to go out and engage people and raise the necessary funds for your organization will help, solve a lot of problems, help build sustainability for your organization, and help kind of address some community issues. And I always, AFP, we always say fundraising is the real impact profession. Like, we make things happen. Like, we're the real catalyst for change and kind of help bring the resources together so that we can kind of address some of the issues in a community.
So I guess talk a little bit, I'm curious in your own sort of personal trajectory, how you, went from religion, linguistics, and gender studies to social work to public administration to where you are now, and what was that through path like for you?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I started off actually in college, community organizing. That was like my main thing. Okay. I worked with the Empire State Pride agenda, and we worked right after marriage equality passed. So it was like super pumped and excited to engage the community and advocate for a lot of issues affecting transgender individuals and families, and advocate for that too, and love the connection. But we lost a lot of money after marriage because people thought the fight was over, and they didn't realize all the other issues, so they laid off some staff and reorganized. And I was like, wow, like, even though I really care about the sector and there's a lot of opportunity, like, we really need the money to do stuff in order to just maintain salary. So that led me to AFP, and I always have been fundraising consecutively with social work and public administration stuff too. My social work degree was really, I thought, was more a complement to the fundraising, but it really enhanced it, and had the chance to really develop some personal skills and relationship building skills and empathy and system-wide kind of analysis that just aided in my fundraising efforts to kind of help understand how really issues happen, how to enact empathy in many of our donors and supporters, and how to really connect the dots to resources and programs that really needed it. So I would say it all mashes together where it is, and where they're like it's kind of separate. So in that sense as well. So.
And you kind of touched on this, but is there anything else you'd like to add about the skills of social workers and how that helps you makes us great fundraisers? Yeah,
so it's a hidden talent that a lot of people don't realize, but we're some of the master relationship builders in our community. Like, we sometimes have to meet a lot of clients instantly and build rapport with them quickly, and work with them to address some of their issues. So, and that's the same with a lot of donors too. Like, fundraising is all about relationship building. So you have to meet people, develop strong relationships with them, build those relationships, and figure out how they work as well. And I think it was, starting a lot of therapies I learned actually in your class, Dr. Allen, with Micro One, of just a solution-based therapy. It was like, what, working with donors and be like, what change do you want to see in the world, and how do you want to make that happen? How can you envision it? And then fundraising to kind of connect them to opportunities that would help them do that as well. So, and social workers are great with, again, empathy, to not only feel sorry for these people, but help donors put people in shoes of all these people who have been taking advantage of the system, and how their resources can help take them out of it and kind of build the support that they need to kind of build on that.
I also see in social work, and I think you're a really good example of this, but social workers tend to look at systems and tend to look at cross-sector relationships and connections between multiple systems. So effective social workers have to, be willing to work with the legal system, with the housing system, with the healthcare system, with the education system, and to not just work independently with all of these systems and many, many others, but have to look at the intersections and look at sort of the bigger picture. I often find that social workers are able to look at the forest for the trees, if you will, and see cross-sector connections that maybe people in other disciplines tend to be a little more focused on their own areas and not look for these connections.
Yeah, I would agree with, sometimes donors do that too. They're like, I just care about healthcare. I just care about this specific issue. And, as social workers really see system-wide things, and we can kind of say, well, our program may be helping people find jobs, but they can't keep that job if they don't have a strong healthcare, system background and kind of help with that too as well. I actually would fundraise for a program that helped people living with HIV keep their pets, because their pets were emotional companions, and we actually connected that to how that decreased rates of depression for those people by keeping their emotional companions of it too. So it actually got support from people who were not just cared about pets, but cared about mental health and that sense too. And I was, able to connect the dots to some people who may not have thought that this was an opportunity to fund it, but it opened up their eyes and kind of helped them connect the dots.
So for social workers, when you think social work, a lot of people, like students, they might not think, fundraiser, this is important, or this is a skill I should have. What are opportunities out there for social workers to get engaged in skills now, whether they're students, whether they're young professionals, or if they've been in the field and they might say, this is an important component of social work. We need to get funding, and I have some skills that I might want to get more experience. What are opportunities?
Sure. So, the instant thing I think of is volunteering, just because any organization wouldn't turn down a free volunteer who's willing to help them raise money. So there's a lot of nonprofits out there doing a lot of great work and connecting with some of their fundraising staff and saying, I'd love to help with fundraising. How can I do that? Whether it's organize events or do a lot of online support, or help them with one of their current initiatives too as well. I actually did a lot of fundraising work in my second year placement in my internship. So that's a great way too, is when you're in your placement too, like how can you connect with the office, the fundraising office, and say, how can I support your efforts? How can I connect with that too? Sometimes it's just sharing more information about what the program is doing that's more helpful and impactful in that sense as well, or sharing stories of the impact as well, and thinking about that too. So, and then thinking about just different ways to just build your skill set in terms of relationship building. So out there networking in professional associations like I have, or with other types of networking or organizations to just kind of connect with them too as well. So definitely volunteering, and there's definitely some job opportunities out there that could kind of help assist and kind of build up those skill sets.
Yeah. So where do you see your work headed next? I know that's a big question, but what do you see in the future for yourself?
Yeah, so it's exciting now because I'm not directly fundraising anymore at the Community Foundation. We're more focused on community level impact. So how can we, as we like to say, change the game for the region? Like we see all these system-wide issues and realize that not a lot of stuff's going to get done unless some of these systems are going to be placed. So how can we lead some of those efforts to do that as well? So we're thinking about how can we change the game for housing, for healthcare, for build up capacity for some of those organizations. So my role is to help connect more people to the community and bring more coalition together to kind of help see how we as a community and more macro level, we can change that, not impacts one organization, but impacts like 50 in that sense as well. So so we're doing a lot of great things at the Community Foundation, including working with the coalition to against homelessness, as well. We have a huge healthcare fund to focus on prevention for a lot of healthcare initiatives as well. We're bringing in a speaker and partnering with the Writers Institute actually in November to talk about eviction and housing and bringing policymakers together to send some ideas. So we realize we have more of a convening power. We don't really want to necessarily take the lead on everything. We want to just bring more people together so they can build great relationships and kind of help address some of these issues around here. And we just keep supporting them along the way. So
it sounds like social work. It sounds like community organizing. It sounds like a lot of things combined in one and integrated together. Yeah.
Well, I think you've also, and you being on, that's why I'm so happy that you came on today, was because even as social work students or professionals, sometimes I don't think we even connect the dots as to why this is important, why is fundraising important, why is building relationships with partners, and how one thing affects others. I mean, we know that for our clients, but when we think about our profession, how does, what's going on in this area impact this area and this area, and why should we be sure that all these agencies have the funds that they need to be able to do the work that they do, because it impacts everything. So I like that it sort of brings it back as to social work is not just a clinical or a macro type of policy. It really encompasses a lot more.
Yeah,
for sure.
So we hope you'll come back again and kind of keep us updated on the work that you're doing and where it heads next.
Of course, yeah. Thank you for having me. No, it's always great to talk about this, and great, again, to be back in the space and get excited and relive the exciting parts of grad school. I saw some people doing homework on the way in, and I was like, I don't miss that part, but the discussions and the excitement to kind of address things and the opportunities to kind of stem on that as well. So it's always great. So.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on, because I know when you were a student here, you also were somewhat involved with the radio show, at least understanding the media aspect, as you said. So that's really great that you're, after a few years away, you've been able to come back and be on the show and be involved a little bit.
Always exciting.
So thank you.
Thank you.
So you've been listening to an interview we've had with us here in the studio, Jonathan Richardson, and who's an alum of the school and who works with the Community Foundation here in Albany. And we're really excited to have had you on the air, and thanks for being our guest today.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Thank you again.
Yeah.
You're listening to The Social Workers on WCDB Albany.